So, how's everybody? Good? Cool. So there's a couple, I got a lecture on customer acquisition and guerrilla marketing for today. But before I do that, I wanted to go over two things. So first of all, well, two and a half things. First of all, I want to write down where the various groups are sitting. I'd like you to sit together with your groups. And I want to write down more or less where you're sitting. This helps me remember your names better. Okay, so where's Academy Mortgage? Gotcha. Angelica's Bakery. Okay. Bakersfield Heatwave. Over there. Gotcha. M&D's Barbershop?
Right here.
Okay. Millie Zane's Soap Company. Okay, way back in the back there. Noe Vieira Photography. Okay. Bare Threads, right there in front. Roadrunner Aquatics. And Stockdale High School basketball. Okay. And Tacos Del Rienz. Gotcha. Is James Delgado in here? That's the only person that's not assigned to a group yet. Okay, so I need project update emails from you guys. I need you to send them once a week on Fridays. And so far, I've only gotten, last week I only got emails from some of you. So Millie Zane Soap Company, I got an email from Noe Vieira. I got one from M&D's Barbershop. I got one from Bakersfield Heatwave. I got one from Stockdale High School Basketball. I got one from Angelica's Bakery. I got one from, I didn't call Imbibe Wine and Spirits.
Sorry?
Imbibe.
What about it?
I forgot to call that as a group.
No, I just assumed you saw me.
No, I wonder why I didn't see that on my list.
I did shoot you an email. I don't know if it.
It was just no. You did. Yeah, so that's it. So, Tacos Del Rienz. Roadrunner Aquatics. Bare Threads. And Academy Mortgage. I still need emails from you guys on what's the scope of the project. Is there a website address? And what basically do you want to do for the project? Okay, I need that by Friday. The other thing I wanted to do, I try and organize this class where we have a lecture on Tuesday and then an activity on Thursday, and like I'm still playing with the best way to do that because I want to be more hands-on with the activity, but it's hard to get out and be hands-on with so many people in a large class like this. So last Thursday was supposed to be an exercise on patent and trademark searches. So I wanted to ask a couple of you for an example of what you searched on last Thursday, what you found. I wanted to kind of use it for discussion for the class. So who can describe to me a little bit what you searched on for patent and trademark searches last Thursday? That's what I was afraid of.
I guess I can say it.
Okay.
So I'm aware that a lot of my products are just apparel, and I have the idea to somehow do like a virtual image of the client while being able to fit my products on the virtual picture. So I was wondering if there was any kind of patent design around the actual virtual studio booth on a website. It turns out there is. It's very specific, so it's easy to get around. It's more so the design pattern. But other than that, everything that I do are design patents, like the hats and bags and cloaks and whatnot. So it's hard to make it proprietary to just my company because it is a clothing company. So that's what I thought.
So describe again what was the specific patentable idea?
It says object variations by capturing images of a user, anatomically proportioned, and reference objective from plural.
No, but take a step back.
Yeah.
What the general description you just gave to the class?
Mm-hmm.
Repeat that again. What were you originally searching for?
Like a patent for a virtual design booth for a website. So to mock up products on customers.
Okay, so to be able to virtually design clothing items of various kinds
Yeah.
and mock it up on a person that's like accessing it over a phone or a website.
Right, like some sunglass companies will have, you can upload like a picture of your face and apply the lenses to your picture. So it's kind of the same idea. Virtual mock-ups.
Okay. So where did you go to do that search? Did you go to the pto.gov?
I did, yeah.
Okay. And then I assume you clicked on patents?
Yes.
Then what did you do?
I put in,
Search for patents, I assume?
yeah, I'm trying to see the criteria that I put in there. I went to, scroll down. I did quick search.
Quick search for the full text and image database?
I believe so.
Okay.
Term one, it doesn't really tell you what you searched for. I don't know how to reiterate it.
Do you remember in general terms what you searched for?
Design, pattern design, virtual design, maybe?
And did you look for it in all fields, or did you look someplace specific?
I definitely did a couple of each. Specifics would probably be somewhere, I think there's a thing called description or...
Description specification?
Yeah.
Okay. So you searched there. Any of these results look familiar?
Not really.
Okay, so
Let's see if I can figure this out.
that's okay. We don't need to. I don't want to go through it too much. I just wanted to close the loop on last Thursday. So, you search for virtual design. You search for a couple other terms. You finally came across. Did you get some lists? I mean, this is like 321 hits here. Did you get some lists that were long like that?
22,000s.
Okay, so what'd you do with the list of 22,000 hits?
Just started thinking how I can filter things out because I think that 22,000 search result was for cloak designs or something like that.
Mhm.
And there were a lot of actual like technology patents in there for, like I assume science fiction type like clothing devices,
Uh-huh.
stuff like that. So then I would put in like clothing pattern as like the subscript, stuff like that. It was really hard to dwindle it down, to be honest, to get it to maybe a couple dozen at the most. I don't even know if that's possible.
Okay. And did you eventually go to the advanced search page, or did you continue putting things into?
I just continued to add into the quotes.
Okay.
I could have jumped into advanced, probably would have helped.
So you just continued to add here more quote terms?
I would add under the quotes. I don't know if you can actually just add on like another set of quotations. Like with the character, you need to add on more quotations. Maybe it's a slash, I don't know. Or just more quotes.
Okay. Is this what you did, or did you go back to the other screen?
I went back there and put
Okay.
the term two in.
Okay.
You can do like clothing. Yeah. Oh, you can select years. I didn't see that.
What's that?
I didn't know you could select years either.
Uh,
Yeah, never mind.
you can't really. And how did you type in more than two terms?
Maybe not so more than two terms, but I just kept redefining my search
Mm-hmm.
based off of that.
Okay. Another way you could do this is the advanced search, which allows you to put in as many search terms as you want rather than just two.
Okay.
So that's another way to do the patent and trademark search. Last thing to sort of reiterate for everybody is that in addition to the USPTO website, you can also go to patents.google.com, and you can search for patents on Google. Same kind of thing. The same way that you use Boolean search terms on Google to find anything, you can use quotes and different characters to search just the patents part of the Google search engine if you want as well. The nice thing about Google Patents, if we put in virtual, what was it again? Virtual design?
Virtual design.
Put it in quotes. The nice thing about Google Patents is it's got a lot of nice schematics too. In addition to the text descriptions, it's got nice pictures as well. So two different places to search for patent and trademark information. That's it for that. I wanted to close the loop on that exercise because I felt like there was no real feedback from me for you guys last time. The topic for today is guerrilla marketing, broadly stated. So let me go back to Blackboard. Customer acquisition and guerrilla marketing. So, I got two different ways of looking at the big picture for this lecture. One is in words, and another way is graphically. So, first of all, the big picture of this lecture in words is our overall goal is acquiring customers. We want to bring in more customers and more revenue. That's the whole idea of guerrilla marketing. There's a number of different activities that you can do to support that overall goal, and a lot of them fit together either hierarchically or in kind of a hub and spoke manner. So the first thing I'm going to talk about today is the activities of talking to sample customers and defining sample customers or existing customers and defining some parameters about the kinds of customers you're looking for, and then rolling that out into different advertising media depending on what your sample and existing customers tell you. So first thing is to identify the product or service. The next thing is to get initial feedback from friends or associates. So this basically means put together a website and get input from existing people that you know, either existing customers of the business or friends and family that you know. Both of those, get input from them about the company or the product or service that you're focusing on for your project. Identify markets and do initial market sizing. So we'll talk about how to do market sizing based on different existing customer bases. After that, the idea is to identify competitors and determine your positioning in the marketplace. And then after you've done those four things, you're going to design and implement a guerrilla marketing campaign. It's basically going to have four elements to it: word of mouth outreach, online outreach, offline outreach, and what I like to call event marketing or event outreach. And then finally, you're going to need some way to track your customer acquisition pipeline. So as you're getting feedback from the various advertising media that you've put out there into the marketplace, you're going to need some way to track the customers that you're getting back. So that was the big picture in words. The big picture graphically looks like this. And I'll open this up in a bit bigger version. Your website and online materials, you may put together a Facebook page as well for the company. You may put together a Twitter account. You may put together some email materials that you send to people. Those materials here are the first step in the process. This is you guys here where it says team. And you're going to go out and talk to people. Talk to people and show them the materials. Step one. From that, you're going to develop 3 different types of reports. The first report is a customer vignette, so that's basically profiling what a sample customer looks like. Market sizing estimate is some estimates based on your customer vignettes. How many other customers are there out there in the marketplace that are like your target customer? And then finally, competitive positioning maps. You're going to put together some maps showing how your company stacks up against the competitors that your sample customers have mentioned. After you've done that, based on the advertising media that your sample customers said that they use, you're going to go and basically cherry pick out of Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, face-to-face meetings, phone calls, texting with people, Google searches, Groupons, Yelp, posters, brochures, event marketing of various kinds. You're going to choose cherry pick between these and put together a mix of marketing media that you're going to use to market your project company. Once you start doing that, you need a way to track all of the responses that you get back from sample customers. So you're going to need to have a database of some kind that tracks feedback from potential customers. And that's basically the graphic representation of what I want to talk about today. So as far as identifying the product or service is concerned, you want to be clear about what the specific product or service is that you're offering. As you're putting together the website and the online materials, you want to think about what image do you want to portray for the product or service. Ask yourself what people need to know about it. You want to list in the website and in your online materials what the principal features and benefits of the product or service are. And like I said, make sure that you have a website and social media pages to demonstrate the product or service. So for a lot of your projects in here, part of the project is going to be building a website for the company, because a lot of the companies in here didn't have a website yet or had a very rudimentary one. So one of the first steps is going to be building a website. For those companies that already have a website, then you're one step ahead of the process, basically. But identifying the product or service is largely involved with putting together a website that accurately represents the company. In terms of getting initial feedback from your friends and associates, there's 3 different activities that I want you to undertake for your various teams. I want you to reach out to people on social media. So whether it's LinkedIn and Facebook are the two ones that I really focus on heavily in here. There's Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, other platforms as well that you may want to use. But in this case, you're going to put together an online survey which asks people the various questions that are in the customer vignette, and put a link, get a link together that links to that survey, and send the link out to various people that you know on social media. Get their feedback on the product or service through outreach on social media, and having them click on the survey link to fill out your online survey. Second thing you're going to do is sometimes you're going to talk to people on the phone or text with them. So one way that you could reach out to people is sending a survey link on social media. Another way you could reach out to people is send them a text with a survey link, the same way, except just sending a text to a cell phone instead of a message to a Facebook or a LinkedIn account. You can also just dial the phone and have the customer vignette template in front of you and ask people questions on the phone, filling out the template as you go along. And then finally, sometimes the easiest thing is just to talk to people face to face. And in that case, you're also going to have the customer vignette template in front of you, and you're going to be filling it out as you talk to the person. So I've got a pretty specific format for the customer vignette that I want you guys to fill out for both existing customers and sample customers. So depending on the project, most of the companies in here already have some existing customers. So those customers who are particularly friendly and willing to help, I want you to interview them basically and fill out a customer vignette for each of them. In addition to existing customers, so a project like Roadrunner Aquatics, you may not have various sources that are giving you funds yet for the fundraising, but you have various people and businesses that you want to target. So you're going to be focused more on friends and family that you can talk to, businesses that are friendly to talk to for filling out these customer vignettes. So the first question that you ask yourself about a customer vignette is, are you focusing on consumers or are you focusing on businesses? Everything else about the customer vignette is different depending on whether it's an individual person, an individual consumer, or whether it's a business that you're reaching out towards. So that's the first distinction to make. You also want to ask yourself if you're talking to just regular customers or if you're talking to influencers. Influencers are people who could tell a lot of other people about your business. So public figures, people who are the organizers of meetup groups or the organizers of industry associations or whatever, those are good examples of influencers. And then you want to ask yourself what the different segments of the marketplace are. So that'll start to come out as you develop different vignettes. You'll see that you have 3 or 4 or 5 vignettes that are all women ages 20 to 30, or you'll see that they're all married couples who tend to have 1 or 2 children. You'll tend to notice some similarities as you develop more customer vignettes, and you want to keep in mind what those different segments are. There's 7 specific questions that I want you to ask people on the customer vignette. First of them is purchase frequency. So how often do they purchase the product or service that you're offering? What price point are they willing to pay for that product or service? What advertising media do they use? Very important. So if they didn't know about your business already, would they do a Google search to find it? Would they respond to an email that they got in their inbox? Would they respond to a posting on Facebook? Would they respond to a poster that they saw walking by on the street? What advertising media would they use to find your product or service if they didn't already know about you? Competitors, what existing products or services are they using right now? So in the case of Roadrunner Aquatics or the Bakersfield High School basketball, it's basically other charities that the people are giving to. That's your main competitor that you're competing with, is other things that people are donating money to. Competitors for Millie Zane or other soap companies, competitors for M&D's barbershop or other barbershops, it's pretty straightforward. But you want to ask people, who do they use right now if it's somebody other than you? Demographics, very important to find out. For people, you want to know age, gender, marital status, income level, profession, where they live and where they work. Those are the pieces of demographic information that you want to know about individual people. As far as companies or businesses are concerned, you want to know what industry they're in, how many employees or how much gross revenues they have, and where they're located. Those are the 3 pieces of demographic information you need to know for businesses. Then general impressions. It's very important to have sort of a free text entry for your survey as well. So after asking people those specific 5 questions about purchase frequency, price point, advertising media, competitors, and demographics, you want to get general impressions. What do they think of the website? What do they think about the project overall? Could be anything. Could be that for Tacos El Griense, could be that is it a food truck?
Yes.
That's what I thought. It could be that they love tacos, but they actually like a sit-down experience more than a truck. So important to get general impressions as well. Or I would love it. I would love it if there were. I would love it if there were a particular kind of salsa to go with chips for the side along with the tacos. Things that aren't captured in the rest of those questions, you want to have a free text area to just get people's general impressions about the product or service. And then finally, include on mailing lists. So you want to know especially from sample customers or friends and family that you talk to rather than existing customers. You want to know, are they interested in being a customer in the future? So if they are interested in being a customer of your product or service, then make sure to include them on a mailing list and keep them in the loop for future advertising that you're going to do for the company. This is an example of a completed customer vignette that's based on a project some of my students did for the Bakersfield Condors last year, the year before last. It's using me as an example, so this is what I want your vignette to look like when you're finished. So it'll say the name of the person, I'm a consumer, I'm a potential influencer because I have classes that I talk to, I do a lot of networking in the community, so there's a lot of people that I potentially talk to about things that I like. And I'm what would be called the single adult male professional segment. So purchase frequency wise, I'm a season ticket holder. I go out for entertainment a couple times a month. So the main competition, as it were, for the Condors is not the other hockey team in town because there's only one hockey team. It's other things that I could do with my time and money on a Friday night. So I tend to go out a couple times a month. That's the purchase frequency for leisure entertainment in general. Price point, $300 is what I paid for the 6-game package. I usually spend between $100 and $200 on a night out if I go out for a date. Advertising media, I always pay attention to word of mouth. I'm very, very keen to listening to what other people that I know have to say about the good fun things to do for the weekend. If I'm looking for something new, I will do a Google search to find things online. If I do find in that Google search any Yelp profiles, I do pay attention to what Yelp profiles say about a particular restaurant or live music venue. If I get an email in my inbox from Groupon or from some list server that I signed up for, I'll pay attention to those. If I see a poster downtown or somewhere on campus here, I'll pay attention to that. And if I get a brochure in my mailbox at home, I'll look at those too. I'll actually probably pay more attention to a brochure in my mailbox than I pay attention to email in my inbox, because nobody sends brochures for restaurants to your mail anymore. If they did, I would pay attention to it and possibly go to that restaurant, because it's so rare that I get a brochure in the mail for a restaurant. Competitors, if I'm not at a Condors game, I'm usually at a local bar or restaurant, or I'm listening to live music. Demographics, I'm 45 now instead of 44. That was last year that I did this. Single with no kids, just a little over $100,000 in salary. I'm a college professor. I live in Westchester, and I work here at CSUB. With that information, that's all the information you need in order to be able to do a market sizing of how many other people there are out there in the market like me. General impressions, I think it's great fun, and I think it's kind of a cozy small town experience. And then, yes, I would be willing to be included on the mailing list. So that's what I want you to produce after you've talked to either existing customers or friends and family. I want you to produce profiles, 1 page each, that look like that. Once you have those customer vignettes, you can do market sizing reports based on the customer vignettes. And in order to be able to do a market sizing report, you need to choose a geographic scope, first of all. So that's going to be either Bakersfield or Kern County or the state of California or the western United States. It's going to be some kind of geographic area. You're going to need the information on demographics, especially that were in the customer vignette. So that's going to be your target customer demographic profile, is the information from the customer vignette. And then you're going to document some assumptions that you have about the particular market niche that you're looking at. There's 3 different kinds of assumptions that one can make about market sizing. One of them is assumptions based on hard data. The second is assumptions based on anecdotal evidence, and the third is assumptions based on educated guesses. Assumptions based on hard data are assumptions that are based on a report that you found from the Census Bureau or a book in the library. It's actual data from some sort of reporting source, numbers from a third-party reporting source. Anecdotal evidence is usually the information on purchase frequency, price point, and general impressions that come from your customer vignette. So that's information that you got from a third party, but it's not an official reporting source. It's an interview that you did with the customer. So that's your anecdotal evidence. Educated guesses are pretty much what they sound like. It's making a ballpark estimate of something based on some kind of reasonable assumptions. So a lot of times that's an assumption about the market share percentage that you can get of a particular market, and it's a ballpark estimate based on how many other competitors you can think of. So if you can think of 5 other competitors off the top of your head, then your market share should probably be 20%, because that 100% divided by 5 is 20%. So it's based on some kind of concrete number, but it's a number that you come up with off the top of your head. Those are the 3 kinds of assumptions that you need to document when you're doing market sizing. When it comes to looking for hard data in market sizing, there's a couple things to remember. Macro level economic data is rarely exactly what you want. You have to take what you can get. So if we use the example of me being a professor, the U.S. Census Bureau, which is where we get a lot of the information for consumer market sizing, the U.S. Census Bureau does not have a category for professors. They have a category for education professionals, but not for professors specifically. So if we want to find professors, we have to look at other common demographic categories like education professionals that are kind of close to what we're looking for, and then we need to make some other assumptions to adjust the macro level data. So for example, not all education professionals are college professors. Some of them teach high school, some of them teach grade school, some of them teach kindergarten. And not all education professionals are teachers. Sometimes they're administrators or counselors. If we just want the university professors, then we need to make some assumptions about how many of those education professionals are university level and how many are teachers versus administrators. And then you can use the information that you get from the Census Bureau. So you want to document all of those assumptions in your market sizing profile that you put together. There are 2 main sources of data from our library that we're going to use for market sizing. One is called American Fact Finder or American Community Survey. They're two versions of the same database that the U.S. Census Bureau uses. And then a third is called the County Business Patterns Database. That's for business-to-business market sizing. So if you're looking for other business, if you're doing market sizing for companies instead of individuals, you're going to use the County Business Patterns Database, if you're looking for market sizing information on individuals, you're going to use American Fact Finder. I've included some links here in the presentation for you to each of those. This is an example of what a market sizing document looks like when you're done. So basically for your projects, I want you to start by putting together a bunch of customer vignette profiles. And then based on those customer vignettes, you're going to put together market sizing documents that look like this. So you're going to define whatever the product or service is. So in the case of M&D Barbershop, it would be haircuts, you know. In the case of Stockdale High School basketball, it's donating to the basketball program. Academy Mortgage, it's mortgage service products. You're going to choose a country, region, or locality that's either going to be Kern County, the city of Bakersfield, or the state of California. One of those three that I want you to choose for the geography. It is possible to go nationwide and larger geographies, but for your market sizings, I'd rather keep things limited to the state of California or to Kern County for now. Your customer profile, this information is basically copied from your customer vignette. So whatever the customer vignette said about the age range, income level, profession, etc. of your target customer, that's going to go here in the customer profile. And then finally, your data and assumptions that you look for. You're going to go out to the Census Bureau's database, find information on how many males there are in Kern County, the percentage that are 40 to 50, the percentage that are earning over 6 figures. Then you're going to take an anecdotal assumption about the price that people are willing to pay for the product or service. So in my case, I said between $100 and $200 a night, so halfway in between those two numbers is $150. And then you're going to make an educated guess about the market share. So could be 10%, could be 50%, could be 25%, just depends on how many options you can think of for other competitors. Then you're going to multiply all those numbers together, 444,000 times 12.6% times 9.3% times $150 times 10% market share. Basically, when you multiply all that out, it's $77,000 and change in potential revenues that the Condors could make from people like me in Kern County. So there you go. And you're going to footnote where you got the data assumptions for hard data, and that's what your market sizing estimate will look like when you're finished. Market sizing for businesses instead of individuals looks a little bit different, but I wanted to give you an example of that too in this presentation. As an example, the Condors don't just sell tickets to individuals, they sell advertising to businesses. So an example of this for the Condors project would be full-page advertising in the program that they give out to people for each game. Country region is going to be Kern County again. Customer profile this time, instead of an age and income range, it's going to be the industry of a certain kind of business. So in this case, I chose clothing accessory stores. There is a separate place to look in. You're going to go to the County Business Patterns database and look in the County Business Patterns database for a specific NAICS code number. That code number corresponds to a certain kind of business in a certain kind of industry. So you're going to write down how many of those businesses there are in Kern County or in California, whatever your geographic range is. You're going to find the anecdotal assumption. In this case, we assumed about $500 that companies are willing to spend on advertising, and since there's only 7 of them, we assumed a pretty high market share of 50%. 7 clothing stores times $500 each times 50% is about $1,750 in potential advertising revenues per game from clothing stores in Kern County. So this is what I want your customer vignette to look like. That either for a business or for an individual, okay? Or your market sizing document. So you're going to produce 2 documents. So you're going to talk to existing customers, family and friends, and you're going to generate a customer vignette. And a market sizing document. This basically applies to every one of the projects in here, because almost every one of the projects in here is doing marketing of one kind or another. So all the marketing starts with talking to existing customers and family and friends, and putting together customer vignettes and market sizing estimates based on those existing customers. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Once you've done that, you're then going to design a guerrilla marketing campaign around what you learned in these interviews here. So, first of all, based on whatever general feedback you got from people in the customer vignettes, you're going to update the website and your social media pages based on whatever feedback you got from people on what they liked or didn't like about the website. Then finally, you need to ask yourself a couple of specific questions about that are related to guerrilla marketing. First of all, what promotion you're offering. So there needs to be some kind of call to action. There's a certain we're offering 20% discount haircuts, or we're offering 2-for-1 soap products for the next 2 weeks, something like that. There needs to be some kind of call to action so that people have a reason to act now instead of 2 or 3 months or 6 months from now. You need to choose the price point, very important. You need to choose what advertising channels you're using, and you need to choose what your customer acquisition goals are and make them realistic. And then finally, how are you going to track your potential customers as they're coming in? Guerrilla marketing channels, there's 4 main channels that I like for people to use for guerrilla marketing. One is word of mouth. Word of mouth can be practically free and extremely effective. It usually works best when you have opinion leader champions or influencers that are willing to tell a lot of people about the product or service. So the Condors example, if I talk about how fun the Condors game is to all of my students, then that makes a lot more difference than just telling 1 or 2 of my friends. Word of mouth usually works best when you have certain people who know a lot of other friends or know a lot of other contacts, and they're willing to say nice things about your business to those contacts. Online marketing, particularly focused and cost-effective. The important thing for online marketing is you need to know the exact platform profile of your target customers. So you need to know what websites they like to visit, where they pay attention to online advertisements. If you don't know what websites your target customer normally visits, then you have no business spending money on online advertising because you have no idea whether you're putting the advertisements in the right place or not. You need to know what websites your target customer normally visits in order to have effective online advertising. Offline is also very cost effective. This is basically brochures, posters, little trinkets, pens that have the name of your company on them, things like that. It's usually best done in combination with word of mouth. So if you tell somebody about things and then hand out a brochure along with telling them, that usually works better than just handing out brochures to people who otherwise have never heard of the company. If they hear a recommendation from a friend and get a brochure and get a pen and get and see a poster somewhere, they're going to be more likely to act on it. And then finally, events. These can range from a couple $100s to tens of thousands of dollars. It's a great way to have face-to-face interaction with prospective customers, really robust demonstration of your products, and dynamic generation of image or brand identity. So whether it's showing up at trade fairs or having what amounts to like an open house or a Tupperware party kind of thing, having an event of some kind where people come and are able to try out your product or service is also a great way to do guerrilla marketing. I've also mentioned 4 mainstream advertising channels here, not because I think most of you are going to use these in your marketing campaigns that you do for this class, but I just want you to have an idea of what these things cost. So outdoor advertising basically means billboards that are on the side of highways and streets and stuff. Radio is radio, print is in magazines and newspapers and stuff, and TV is what it says, TV advertising. Does anybody in here know what the phrase CPM stands for? It's cost per mil. It's basically the cost for 1,000 people. So for 1,000 people that drive by and see a certain billboard on the street, it costs you about $2.26 for every 1,000 people that see that billboard. For TV, it costs you anywhere from $5 to $10 for 1,000 people to see your TV advertisement. The point is, these are pretty cheap rates per 1,000 people. The problem with both guerrilla and mainstream is how big the price of what you're selling is, how many people purchase for a given CPM, and how many purchasers become repeat customers. The big difference between guerrilla marketing and mainstream marketing is that is the volume that you're required to purchase in order to get into the game. So you can't buy just 1,000 people on a billboard. You have to buy 100,000 or 400,000. Like, you're probably going to pay for the entire population of Bakersfield driving by that billboard over the course of a month. You can't just choose 1,000 because the billboard's out there. Everybody's going to see it. Same thing for TV. You can't just choose 1,000 TV viewers. You've got hundreds of thousands or sometimes millions of TV viewers in a given marketplace that are going to see your advertisement, and you can't pay for any less than that. So although it's really cheap per customer, in order to be able to get in the game, sometimes it's too expensive for small businesses to do TV or radio or outdoor or print advertising. But that's what the rates are. I wanted you guys to see what they are. It is possible to do, but it costs a considerable amount to get in the game to start with. Word of mouth, guerrilla marketing channels, like I said, social media outreach, text, phone, and in person. I want I want each group to reach out to existing customers and or friends and family using one of these 4 methods and fill out customer vignette and market sizing documents based on that. And then assuming that one of the channels that people said they pay attention to is word of mouth, you're also going to set up an advertising campaign that uses word of mouth. So instead of a survey link, you may choose 20 or 50 people to all like your business on Facebook and post that on their feed, so that other people they know see the fact that your business is liked by that sample customer or that influencer. Same thing for text and phone. If you can think of 10 or 20 or 30 people that might be interested in donating to the cause, sending them a link on text and giving them a place where they can click to donate money, pretty straightforward, but there's no substitute for just sending out a link where people can go to contribute for the Bakersfield High School project or the Runner Aquatics project, for example. Sometimes it makes sense to call people on the phone and tell them about something. Sometimes it makes sense to talk in person. But you're going to have a certain number of contacts with potential customers for word of mouth in each of these 4 areas. For online, it could be any of the above here. So you may end up doing a Google AdWords campaign. If people say they use Google, then you're going to pick some advertising words that are particularly effective and sign up for Google. The nice thing about Google AdWords is it can be really cheap. You could pay 10 or 20 bucks and get effective advertising out of Google AdWords. It just depends on how well you're able to craft your search words. Search engine optimization, sometimes it may be that if people pay attention to the regular results of a Google search rather than the paid advertising search results, you're going to want your company's website to pop up higher in the Google search results. In order to do that, you need to basically change some of the meta information about your website and how it's referenced by Google so that it pops up higher in the search results. Groupon, Yelp, Yellow Pages, on .com, all of those are potential routes to use depending on whether your target customers use them or not. Blog postings are great if your target customers ever pay attention to blogs. Email blasts, so sending emails to a list of email addresses that you have, or banner advertisements on certain websites. So again, you need to know whether your target customers use Google to search for what they're looking for, whether they pay attention to Groupon, what websites they visit to look at banner advertisements. You need to know those pieces of information in order to put together an effective online campaign for guerrilla marketing. An offline campaign basically has posters, brochures, and anything else like pens or matchboxes or business cards, flyers that are like smaller than a whole brochure, things like that. And again, if your target customers say that they use these things, then you're going to make that part of your marketing campaign. And then finally, for events, there's 3 kinds of events that I like to talk about: street teams, promotional events, and conventions or trade shows. Street teams are basically groups of individuals that will go out and go out into a large group of people and promote something. So sometimes if you're at a bar or a restaurant, there'll be people giving away free samples of a certain kind of alcohol or a certain kind of food, and they'll walk around. They'll be wearing like the brand logo of the company they represent, and they're handing things out to everybody that's there. That's an example of a street team. Go someplace like a mall or a restaurant or a bar where there's a lot of people and hand out information about the product or service, free samples, something like that, and a place where there's high traffic of people. That's a street team. Promotional event, M&Ds could have like a half off Friday. Could be a particular, or like an open, you can have like an open house where people come in and visit the barbershop, maybe even don't get a haircut, but just get to know it a little bit. For Millie Zane Soap Company, I think something like a Tupperware party would be great, where you invite maybe 10 or 20 people over to one person's house, and you demonstrate all the soap products, and people can use them and look at them all and touch them. That's a really good event for a company like Millie Zane. And then conventions and trade shows, depending on what your target customers say, you may want to have a booth at a certain trade show or event around town. I've included a number of different pieces of information in here for you guys about the costs and ways to optimize different types of online platforms and word-of-mouth platforms. So your website, for example, pricing is basically $50 to $100 to get the domain name. It's actually down even cheaper than that now. You usually have to, I think I pay $30 per year to renew my domain names right now for the websites that I have, and it's about $10 to $20 a month for basic web hosting services. I've included here some apps that you can download for free that will help with each of these types of advertising platforms. So Website Grader is a great thing that kind of rates the site performance of your website. Zamanta is an app that helps you produce online content for your website. Google AdWords, I've listed here in the cost per click and the CPM. Google XML Sitemap is a good app that helps people index blog postings better. Banner advertisements, blast emails, blog postings. It's about $13 per blog posting if you have a professional do it. Facebook is going to be largely free, and for example, Send Social Media is a good app for taking the stuff that you have from your website and posting it immediately to not just Facebook, but to LinkedIn, to Pinterest, to Instagram, all different, to Twitter, all different places at one time. Creative portfolio display is a good one for LinkedIn. Pinterest and Instagram, I've talked about here a little bit, Google Plus and Twitter. A couple words about search engine optimization. Once you have a basic online marketing portfolio together, you could try to maximize the frequency and salience with which people find your listings on search engines like Google and Bing. Basically, you're augmenting certain things like the text, media, and the embedded data features that are in your website. the number the number of other websites that reference your website, or that point to your website. Those are the main things that the Google algorithm looks at to determine which search result is first and which search result is number 1 million. So the more you have certain words in the text of your website, the more you have embedded metadata features like they're in the code, but you can't see them in the website. The more that you have other websites that point to your website, the higher your website's going to appear in Google searches. And then in addition to there's a number of vendors which I've actually listed on this page here. You can use the webmaster tools on Google or Bing for free, but there's also SEO Moz, which is as little as $100 a month, SEOP, which is more like $1,000 a month, and Qualified Impressions, which can be anywhere from $250 to $2,000 a month, that will do this for you and help your search results pop up higher on Google and Bing. Tracking potential customers. You can use Outlook. You can use a spreadsheet like Excel. You can also use a couple of different software systems that I've listed here. Salesforce.com is becoming the industry standard in a lot of ways for tracking customers. You can use it for as little as $5 a month. NetSuite and MyDials are two other ones. Whatever you use, it's important to have some way of tracking the customer responses that you get from your guerrilla marketing campaign. Finally, acquiring customers. This is similar to the advice that I gave in general about your career networking and about where you want to go and where you want to get to with your careers in life. There's 7 billion people on the planet. There's always customers out there for whatever your business is. The challenge is just finding them. Realize that you're going to need 10 touches probably for every prospect, and for every prospect you're going to need 10 of those for a real lead, or 10 touches of prospects to get one lead, and 10 touches of leads to get one real opportunity. So you need to have as many irons in the fire as you can in order to guarantee that you get new customers. Use social media as much as you can. Social media and publicly available databases to get information which is readily available on your customers. Document everything. Don't take rejection personally. And I've listed here for those of you, I don't think there's any project in here which is overly one-on-one sales focused. Everybody in here has a relatively low price point and a relatively general product or service. But for those of you who do personal one-on-one selling, there's a couple of resources that I wanted to point out here. Spin Selling and Major Account Sales Strategy are two books by a guy named Neil Rackham that are like the Bibles of selling, as far as I'm concerned. Anybody who's involved in face-to-face selling should read these two books. And Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play by Mahan Khalsa is also a really good one for face-to-face sales. It's a really good focus on getting real, or getting down to the focus on, I'm here, I have certain things to offer, you have problems that you need to solve, let's see if we can match those up, and if we're not going to do that, let's not waste each other's time. It's a good system for getting down to brass tacks in your sales conversations. That's about all for that. What I want you guys to do between now and Thursday, Thursday's going to be another in-class activity where we I basically want you to plan out your customer outreach. And so to get a head start on that, between now and Thursday, I want each of you to brainstorm as many existing customers or family and friends as you can think of that you could talk to about your project. Okay? Bring a list on a piece of paper or on your computer with you, and bring those lists to class on Thursday, okay? That's it. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Yes?
The big mistake in the work. I opened the test, then I closed down.
The test?
Yeah,
Yeah, the test, you can't take the test yet.
I opened it by mistake.
That's okay.
Then I closed it.
Yeah,
Will
I'll,
open
I'll,
later.
I'll, I'll,
Please.
yeah, I'll delete it for you so you can take it again. Okay?
Yeah, let him know. Yeah, I'm sure he can come up with a lot more, especially since it's a family business. I'm sure he'll have a full list of, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I just want to shoot him a text.
Yes. Huh?
I sent you my plan, professional plan.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen it or have you received it?
Tell me your name again.
Khalid Dinari.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, by email.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
And that's it. You asked us to LinkedIn and the profile. Is it?
Yes. Are you in my entrepreneurship class too?
Yeah.
3400? You also need to do 1/2 page. You know the survey that we did in class on cognitive thinking styles?
I weren't. I wasn't there.
Okay. In that case,
I was absent that time.
hang on one second. Fill this out at home,
Okay.
and then for the areas that you scored lower, this is it's a survey for how you think as an individual. So for some of the areas that you scored lower, I want you to write 1/2 page telling me how you can improve the way you think in those areas.
Lower than 5 or what's lower?
You'll see whatever after you're done. The lowest numbers, wherever the lowest numbers are.
Okay. The fourth and right?
Yep, front and back.
Okay.
And
No.
send that to me as an attached document for 3400.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
When do you need?
Huh?
When do you need?
As soon as you can.
Oh, okay. You don't have a final exam, is it?
We do have a final exam. It's called the retention of learning test. It's online. You'll take it sometime before the end of the semester.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.